Senate please come to order?
Yeah, I believe that,
Senator from Addison?
yes. Are we picking up right where we left off? Is that,
We are picking up where we left off.
okay. So we had we had taken a pause to talk to legislative council, and we figured it out between legislative council and the senator from Chittenden and me and a couple others, that the part of speech that I thought this was missing was the object. I figured that also out during the break. And the object is actually defined, as the senator from Chittenden was mentioning. There's a definition of fraudulent media, and that is in the beginning of the bill. And so the object is that, and so it covers everything that is referring to some fraudulent media that is trying to influence an election more broadly. So this language should be fine, and I thank the senator from Chittenden, and thank you, Mr. President.
So the question is, shall the bill be amended as offered by the senator from Chittenden? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have amended the bill. Now, the question is, now listen to the third reading of the bill.
S23, an act relating to the use of synthetic media in elections.
Now the question is, shall S23 pass? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed S23. Senator from Chittenden, are we going to continue, or are you going to make a motion?
Please, if we could just go down the third reading list, that would be
The
great.
third reading list, thank you. We now have S27, an act related to medical debt relief and excluding medical debt from credit reports. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? Please listen to the third reading.
S27, an act relating to medical debt relief and excluding medical debt from credit reports.
Now the question is, shall S27 pass? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed S27. We now have S51, an act related to Vermont unpaid caregiver tax credit. Are there any amendments before third reading? Please listen to third reading.
S51, an act relating to the Vermont unpaid caregiver tax credit.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed S57, S51, I think. 51. We now have S59, an act related to amendments to Vermont's open meeting law. Are there any amendments?
Mr. President,
for
yes,
third
we have an
reading?
amendment requested.
Senator from Orange.
Okay, draft 1.1 S59. Senator Hart, Clarkson, Collmore, Lefkowski, and White move that the bill be amended in section 1, VSA 312, in subdivision D3, by striking out the second sentence in its entirety and inserting in lieu thereof the following. When a public body includes an executive session as an item on a posted meeting agenda, the public body shall list the agenda item as proposed executive session.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Sit up. Sit up.
Yeah, now I can sit down.
So the question is, shall the bill be amended as presented by the let's see, is it a committee? As proposed by Senator Hart and others. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have amended the bill. Question is, shall the bill pass? Read it before we pass it. Are you ready for the third reading of the bill?
S59, an act relating to amendments to Vermont's open meeting law.
Now the question is, shall the bill pass? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed S59. We now have S60, an act related to establishing the Farm Security Special Fund to provide grants for farm losses due to weather conditions. Are there any amendments before the third reading? Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is an amendment being passed out. I deeply support our farmers in wanting to make sure that they have access to what they need to be successful in farming. And this amendment adds a couple of additional provisions because I also want to make sure that we are responsibly using taxpayer money. And I think there does come a point in time, FEMA has said it, if your house has flooded more than once, we're not going to keep giving you money for that house that we know is going to just keep flooding. And so there are 3 additional provisions. One of them limits the number of awards to an individual applicant to no more than 3 awards in a 10-year period. One prioritizes awards to applicants who have not previously received this funding. And the last requirement requires applicants to demonstrate that assistance from other sources is unavailable to provide reimbursement. So it asks them if they have an insurance policy to use that first. It asks if they are eligible for USDA or FEMA support to use that first and let this fill in the gaps and not be the first source of income. I would argue that our federal government has far more resources than the small state of Vermont. And so those provisions, again, they're not meant to make it so farmers can't access it. They're meant to be a smart use of money to support farmers that have a viable future in farming where they are. Thank you.
Are you ready for the question? Senator from Windsor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Agriculture gave this amendment due consideration, but for 2 reasons, we have decided to move this on without the amendment. And the one reason is we already have a board which will take all of this into consideration. The second, we have no data that there will be abuses of this bill. If there are any types of abuse within the bill, what we will do and can as a body is to amend the bill when we find that out. So those 2 reasons in particular. And lastly, the good senator from Chittenden also mentioned that the federal government. Right now, the federal government, we have no idea what they will or will not do for our farmers. As a matter of fact, we do. They are not supporting our farmers. This will do that. And so because of that, I think I know that our committee unanimously asked that we pass this as is. Thank you.
Are you ready for the question? Senator from Orleans.
Thank you, Mr. President. I entirely understand the reasoning behind this amendment in regards to the location of farms and how they might be adversely affected by flooding. But I would like to make a point that frost events like we had in the last couple of years around our apple orchards during the early spring is not dependent on location. Frost can strike anywhere, and especially in the case of Cold Hollow and our state's agriculture regarding orchards. I don't think this amendment would cover that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Are you ready for the question? If so, shall the bill be amended as offered by the senator from Chittenden, Senator Biehofsky? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. No. The nays appear to have it. The nays do have it. We have not heard that amendment. Now, the question is, shall the bill pass? Oh, no, now we're going to read it a third time.
S60, an act relating to establishing the Farm Security Special Fund to provide grants for farm losses due to weather conditions.
Now the question is, shall the bill pass? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed S60. We now have S109, an act related to miscellaneous judiciary procedures. Are there any amendments before third reading? Please listen to the third reading.
S109, an act relating to miscellaneous judiciary procedures.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Senator from Chittenden North.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to follow up on a question that was asked yesterday about sections 23 and 24 as it relates to public inebriates. When these statutes were put in place, these two statutes, DOC was worried about their capacity of being able to take these public inebriates in. And since then, it has been delayed several times over the past years. And now DOC is in a place where we no longer need those statutes in place. They have the capacity to be able to continue to do this work. So I just wanted to follow up with the full Senate on that answer. Thank you.
Are you ready for the question? The question is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed S109. We now have Senate Resolution 10, Senate Resolution relating to the disapproval of Executive Order 125. Are there any amendments to be offered before third reading? Please listen to the third reading.
SR10, Senate Resolution relating to disapproval of Executive Order 01-25.
The question is, shall the resolution be adopted? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. No. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and we have adopted the resolution. Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Given that we have only 5 minutes before we'll need to adjourn, I am going to ask that we move directly to Proposition 3, which I noticed yesterday, and the right to collectively bargain.
We have on the calendar for action, proposal of amendment to the Constitution. Chapter 2, subsection 72 of the Vermont Constitution sets forth requirements for amending the Constitution. Proposals can be initiated only on biennial sessions that commence every 4 years. The next window of opportunity is 2027. Proposals must originate in the Senate and must be approved by 2/3 of the total membership. This is the equivalent of the second reading of the proposal in the Senate. After Senate approval, the House must concur by majority vote of its membership. The House cannot amend the proposal. During the next biennial session, both the Senate and House must approve the proposal under the Constitution with at least 16 votes in the affirmative in the Senate and by at least a majority of a quorum in the House. No amendments may be made by either the House or the Senate. A proposal of amendment is then voted on by the general populace at the next general election. If approved by the majority of the voters who vote, the proposal then becomes part of the Constitution. The proposal under consideration today, Proposal 3, was approved by more than 2/3 of the Senate during the 2023 biennial session and by more than a majority of the House also in the 2023 biennial session. Today is the equivalent of third reading of the proposal. Under Senate Rule 83, the proposal was on the notice calendar for 6 legislative days, and it is up for action for third reading on the 7th day. Since no amendments are permitted at this time, the question to be voted on is, shall the Senate concur in Proposal 3 to the Constitution and require the concurrence of the House? Under Senate Rule 83, the proposal was printed in the calendar upon direction given by the Committee on Rules. Proposal 3 is set out in full on pages 366 to 367 of today's calendar. Full debate is in order. Please listen to the reading of the proposal.
Proposal 3. Section 1, Purpose. This proposal would amend the Constitution of the State of Vermont to provide that the citizens of the state have a right to collectively bargain. Section 2, Article 23 of Chapter 1 of the Vermont Constitution is added to read, Article 23, Right to collectively bargain. That employees have a right to organize or join a labor organization for the purpose of collectively bargaining with their employer through an exclusive representative of their choosing for the purpose of negotiating wages, hours, and working conditions, and to protect their economic welfare and safety in the workplace. Therefore, no law shall be adopted that interferes with, negates, or diminishes the right of employees to collectively bargain with respect to wages, hours, and other terms and conditions of employment and workplace safety, or that prohibits the application or execution of an agreement between an employer and a labor organization representing the employer's employees that requires membership in the labor organization as a condition of employment. Section 3, Effective Date. That the amendment set forth in this proposal shall become a part of the Constitution of the State of Vermont on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November 2026, when ratified and adopted by the people of this state in accordance with the provisions of 17 VSA Chapter 32.
The question is, shall the Senate concur in Proposal 3 to the Constitution and request the concurrence of the House? When the vote is taken, it shall be taken by roll. Are you ready for the question? I recognize the senator from Chittenden, Senator Rom Hinsdale.
Mr. President, today I rise with the honor of encouraging the Senate to support Proposition 3, a proposed constitutional amendment that, if passed, would give Vermonters the choice to enshrine our future generations the right of Vermont workers to organize and collectively bargain, and to be free from laws that undermine those rights. This amendment ensures that the labor protections Vermonters have today remain intact, shielding them from future political efforts to erode these rights. For some of you, this is your first time voting on a constitutional amendment, a process that is as laborious as it is sacred. While the Vermont Constitution is a living document, it rightfully takes 2 different legislatures and the will of the voters to make a change. I remind my colleagues that PR3 passed unanimously in the Senate and by an overwhelming margin in the House last biennium. Both chambers have to take another vote in this new biennium to put this exact language on the ballot for voters to make the ultimate decision in November of 2026. I am proud to stand here with tripartisan support for this measure, especially as we witness growing efforts across the country through legislatures, courts, and executive actions to threaten the choices of working people. Some may question why this amendment is necessary in Vermont. After all, we proudly respect workers' rights, but history has shown us that no state is immune. In Wisconsin, Michigan, Missouri, and New Hampshire, workers never imagined their rights to organize and bargain collectively would be under attack until they were. PR3 is a proactive step to ensure that Vermonters now and in the future can exercise their rights without fear or political interference. Our goal with PR3 is simple: to ensure that no matter what happens at the federal level or in other states, Vermont workers retain their right to organize. For those who question whether an attack on labor rights is real, I point to the multiple legal challenges against the National Labor Relations Act, which has protected organizing rights since 1935. The U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly weakened these protections with rulings in 2014, 2018, 2021, and 2023, making it harder for workers to organize and maintain strong labor protections. 9 states have gone so far as to enshrine right-to-work laws in their constitutions, laws designed to weaken unions and undermine worker solidarity. Most recently, President Trump has fired key members of the National Labor Relations Board, leaving it without a quorum and the ability to execute its functions. Why should we care? Because the testimony we heard in committee made it clear. Strong labor rights improve lives. We heard from nurses, construction workers, state employees, firefighters, and laborers last biennium, and a few more this biennium, who testified about how collective bargaining has benefited their wages, working conditions, and job security. We also heard about the devastating effects of losing these rights in other states. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Vermont would not be the first to take this step. Illinois passed a nearly identical amendment in 2022 after witnessing firsthand how a single governor could destabilize labor protections. Throughout our deliberations this year and last biennium, no organizations testified against PR3. In contrast, we heard from countless Vermonters who believe this amendment would send a clear message. Vermont values workers, and we want to protect their rights for generations to come. Our committee has once again unanimously and on a bipartisan basis voted 5-0 in favor of this amendment. Now we have a choice to take the final step in the Senate to allow Vermonters to decide for themselves whether to enshrine labor rights in our Constitution. This is about protecting the choices of workers, securing Vermont's economic future, and standing firm against the erosion of fundamental labor rights. On behalf of the Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs Committee, I ask for the Senate support.
Are you ready for the question? The question is, shall the Senate concur in Proposal 3 to the Constitution and request the concurrence of the House? The Secretary may call the roll.
Senator Brew.
Yes.
Senator Peck. Senator Bonder.
Yes.
Senator Brennan.
Yes.
Senator Brock.
Yes.
Senator Chittenden.
Yes.
Senator Clarkson.
Yes.
Senator Collmore.
Yes.
Senator Cummings.
Yes.
Senator Douglas.
Yes.
Senator Dooley.
Yes.
Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Harrison.
Yes.
Senator Hart.
Yes.
Senator Hashim.
Yes.
Senator Heffernan.
Yay.
Senator Ingalls.
Yes.
Senator Lyons.
Yes.
Senator Major.
Yes.
Senator Matos.
Yes.
Senator Norris.
Yes.
Senator Persley.
Yes.
Senator Plunkett.
Yes.
Senator Ron Hinsdale.
Yes.
Senator Bohofsky.
Aye.
Senator Watson.
Yes.
Senator Weeks.
Yes.
Senator Westman.
Yes.
Senator White.
Yes.
Senator Williams.
Yes.
Senator Beck.
Please listen to the results of your vote. 29 voting yea, 0 voting nay, and we have passed the resolution. And you have concurred in Proposal 3 of the Constitution and requested the concurrence of the House. Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank everyone for this morning's work. We do need to adjourn now as we have Senator Peter Welch joining us in the Appropriations Committee. But we will adjourn now and run a little longer tomorrow. So I will be adjourning us until 11 a.m. tomorrow. And then I suggest that folks pack in some supplies because we'll have to have a long session tomorrow. With that said, Mr. President, I would move that pending announcements, the Senate stand in adjournment until 11 a.m. Friday, March 21st.
The senator from Chittenden has moved that the Senate stand in adjournment until 11 a.m. on March 21st. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor? Excuse me, sorry. Senator from, no, we're not to announcements yet. Oh, sorry. Yes. announcements, if there are any announcements. Sorry, Senator from Windsor. I'm trying to get out of here.
Yes. And Mr. President, if you are hungry and you did not pack your lunch, you could get free pizza at the Climate Solutions Caucus, which started at 12 in room 10. All are welcome. Treasurer Pichek is there discussing the Climate Superfund.
I see what you
Thank
did there.
Thank you. Are there any announcements? Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Finance will start at 1 o'clock.
Senator from Rutland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Government Operations will meet at 1:30.
Senator from Wyndham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate institutions will meet at 1:30.
Senator from Bennington.
Mr. President, the Senate Education Committee will be at 1:30.
Are there any other announcements? Seeing none. Senator from Chittenden has moved that we adjourn until 11 a.m. March 21st. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have adjourned till 11 a.m. tomorrow, March 21st.